Okay. All right, here's where everyone should be at. Okay. So last class we went over how foodborne illnesses grow, all the different ones you need to know for this class. And then today we're just going to go over preventing. So how can we best not spread or start foodborne illnesses? So first one, when in doubt, throw it out. So if you buy something from the store or you have something in your refrigerator and you're not sure how old it is, it's got a weird smell to it, it's got maybe a different texture than it has before. Okay.
I drank a cup of milk today that expired on the 27th of August. Ooh.
I'm sure you're fine. I always give milk like a week.
It had chunks in it.
Okay, then probably not. Okay, so
I think there was
when in doubt,
chunks in it till I
throw it out. I have no problem throwing out food. I actually kind of love to throw out food because I hate having clutter in my fridge. But my husband's always like, can you smell this for me? Do you want to taste this for me? I'm like, heck no. So just throw it away if you're not sure. Okay. Next is keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold. If you buy something hot or you cook something to a hot temperature, it should stay hot. If it's cooling down for 2 hours or more, we need to start thinking about putting it away or throwing it away. Okay, same thing with cold foods. If you buy something in the cold refrigerated section at the store, it should be back in the refrigerator within 2 hours. Wash your hands, please. Keep food out of the danger zone, which we'll go over in just a second. Always cook your food to the proper internal temperature, which a lot of different meats have different temperatures, which we're going to go over as well. And avoid cross-contamination, which is this. Okay? So cross-contamination is where you're cooking or storing or cutting raw food with ready-to-eat food. Remember, ready-to-eat means you don't have to cook it. It's just like fruits and vegetables, stuff that would be fine just to eat on its own. So never place them, never do this. We have 12, like every kitchen has so many cutting boards. You guys should never have to use the same cutting board for meats and vegetables. Okay, always wash your hands. So let's say you're cooking meat or maybe you get raw egg on your hand, always wash before starting a new task. And then here is a question that will be on your food handling test, which is next time, in case you forgot. It is next time.
Or next class.
Next class, yeah. Every person is going to take it. If you want the food handler's card, you need to pass it with a 75%. But the good thing about this test is you can take as many times as you want within the class period. Okay. And I need a receipt if you need it. $20 from the office. Bring me a receipt. Okay, like I said, this is a question on the test. If food becomes cross-contaminated, set it aside and ask the manager what to do. Don't just like serve it if you're working at a restaurant. Okay, we're gonna watch a little video on all the ways to prevent cross-contamination.
We all know how well meat and vegetables go together in a meal. But before he cooked for his family, Terrence had to be careful to keep his lettuce and pork chops separate. Why? because harmful bacteria from the raw meat can cross-contaminate other foods and may make those eating it very sick. If Terrence forgotten to bring separate bags for his meat and produce at the grocery store, any bacteria from the pork chops could have cross-contaminated the head of lettuce. These bacteria can come from the juices of raw meat, or even just the products or product packaging touching when no visible juices are present. Fortunately, Terrence kept his raw meat and produce separated. But his food isn't out of danger yet. Cross-contamination can also happen in his refrigerator. But Terrence remembered to keep his raw meat and vegetables separate. More cross-contamination avoided. Terrence must be very careful when cutting his meat because, though he can't see it, there could be bacteria on this pork. He can spread this bacteria from the meat to his utensils, his vegetables, and his kitchen towel. If he does not wash his hands well after touching the meat, cross-contamination is far more likely. But fortunately for his family, Terrence was careful. Terrence washes his hands with soap and warm water for 20 seconds after handling the pork. He also washes the cutting board and utensils. He keeps his vegetables separate from his raw meat, and he's careful to keep the cutting board and utensils used for the meat away from his raw vegetables. All Terrence has to do now is use a food thermometer to be sure that his meat is safely cooked. The pork's internal temperature is safe at 145 degrees Fahrenheit. All whole cuts of pork, beef, and lamb require a 3-minute rest time before they're safe to eat. During these 3 minutes after meat is removed from the heat source, its temperature remains constant or continues to rise, which destroys any remaining bacteria. Terrence was careful not to cross-contaminate his kitchen or food, and by cooking his meat to the proper temperature, he serves his family food that is safe to eat. He keeps the pork and lettuce separate during his prep, and now he can safely serve them together. For more information,
Way to go, Terrence. Okay, so all those are from like taking it from the grocery store to cooking it, how it needs to be separated. Okay. Some other ways to avoid cross-contamination at a restaurant. This won't be like really here, but never scoop ice with your bare hands or a glass. I used to get in trouble at Olive Garden all the time because I would take the glass and just scoop it. They just told me like, don't do that in case that glass breaks, and we got to clean out all the ice to make sure there's no ice or glass shards in there. Okay. Do not hold utensils by the part that comes in contact with food. So like don't pick up the ice scoop by like the scooper part. The same thing goes when serving food to people. Don't pass them their utensil or their plate by the part that they're going to be eating with. Right? I think we talked about that. If you're going to like Macy's or other places that serve those like donuts, always make sure you use like a deli sheet to grab what you need. Okay. We did already talk about this, but another way to avoid cross-contamination, if you're handling raw meat and you're wearing gloves, make sure that you change them after you're done. Change them if they get dirty or torn, and then we've already talked about this. Wearing bandages over wounds, and then your gloves over your bandages. Okay, when we do our protein unit, we're going to be doing meatballs, and you're going to be forming them with your hands. You can do those with your bare hands, or you can do it with gloves. I think at a restaurant they'd make you do it with gloves. Okay. Okay. All right. Allergens is not a foodborne illness. Okay. but allergens can be spread. This is not called cross-contamination. This is called cross-contact. Okay, so remember the difference. Cross-contamination is yucky bacteria, foodborne illness. Cross-contact is proteins from one allergen that gets spread somewhere else. Okay. When I worked at Olive Garden, and someone would say, "I can't, make sure there's no eggs," or "I can't have eggs." You have to ask them, is it a preference or is it an allergy? Because if it was an allergy, I would have to put a note to the kitchen to clean all utensils and cooking surfaces before starting this meal. That way, no cross contact would happen from one thing that they're preparing to another thing that they're preparing. Okay. If you ever notice you're eating a candy bar or something, on the wrapper it'll say made on the same conveyor belt as peanuts or made on the same conveyor belt as tree nuts, just so people know that cross contact might have happened. These are the most common allergies worldwide. So,
Seems fishy.
Why are tree nuts and peanuts separate?
because I think they're different. They come from tree nuts would be almonds and coconuts. Peanuts, I think, are coming from the ground. I think. I don't know. Someone look into that. Where do peanuts come from?
They're like a bean.
Oh, they're like a bean from a plant that sprouts up from the ground. Oh, okay. Tree nuts always from a tree. Okay.
My mom's allergic to bacon, pork.
All pork. Oh, poor lady.
Yeah, so we'll go to restaurants, so I'll be like, hey.
Yeah, make sure.
bacon.
Yes, always make sure. Because if you tell them and they do it, you could sue the restaurant for not cleaning. Okay, we're gonna watch a fun little video on allergies. I've never had an allergy. I don't know any of my family who has an allergy, but it sucks if you're a kid or if you have an allergy because this is stuff you have to deal with all the time.
It's already started. Okay, remember, you're not supposed to eat any of these foods. Eggs, peanuts, milk, walnuts, bread, gluten, fish, and beef jerky. Because they make me go crazy. Yeah, if you want to have a blow up like a balloon and have a crazy hitting people, then go ahead and do those things. Well, what can't you eat? Well, I'll tell you what you can't eat. String cheese, cantaloupe, pickles, avocados, sugar, circus peanuts. That goes along with sugar. Don't worry, we're not going to feed her anything. Yeah, don't feed her anything, especially lobster, seaside food, chicken pot pie, turkey pot pie, any kind of pot pie. One time I ate a pot pie and it made me go crazy. I made her run around everywhere, slap everything, break many fragile things. One time I had a muffin and it made me beat everyone up and stuff. Is there anything you can't eat? I can eat pizza. Yes, you can eat pizza as long as it doesn't have cheese, pepperoni, sauce, pineapple, anchovies. So just feed her pizza. We're not going to feed her anything. But she'll get hungry. Once I drink some root beer.
All right, so always make sure you let me know if you have any allergies. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is very important: temperature control safety. What temperature do things need to be at to be deemed safe to eat? Okay, so remember we talked about FATTOM, how pathogens grow, and the TT of that is time and temperature. So the foods most at risk for time and temperature growth are going to be these. There will be one question on the test that says what food is most at risk for TCS exposure. And I believe, if I'm right, it's going to be milk, meat, and cooked rice. Okay. So that just means if you're leaving these things out for a long period of time, they're most at risk for growing pathogens. Temperature danger zone. This is something that you need to remember forever and ever. Even into your adulthood, this will come in handy. So the temperature danger zone is between 41 degrees and 135 degrees. Meaning, if you buy something cold, or something should be stored cold, it should be stored below 41 degrees. And if you're cooking something, especially anything that's raw, like any kind of raw meat, it should be cooked to 135 degrees or higher. That's why I don't trust sushi. I ain't eating raw fish because it's not cooked. If you do, that's you. Go ahead.
You can get some sushi that's good.
Oh yeah, I'll get like tempura, like something that's cooked, or
California rolls are good.
like California rolls because they're like crab.
Usually imitation crab.
Yeah, exactly. But like that raw stuff on top, sashimi, I think it's called. Pass.
Nigiri.
Yep, nigiri. Okay. Foods should not be in the temperature danger zone for more than 2 hours. So I always remember this. If I'm going grocery shopping and I want to do like a couple errands before I get home, I have 2 hours from the time that I check out till then it needs to be back in my refrigerator. Less, I would say, if you have something frozen like ice cream, right? You don't want it to be melty. Food in the temperature danger zone for more than 4 hours should be thrown out. This weekend, I made spaghetti at my sister's house, and then I took leftovers in my car, and I forgot them until Monday, so I threw it out. That's more than 4 hours. That was like 48 hours. Okay. Next. When checking the internal temperature of food, it's always good, like if you're cooking a big piece of steak or a big piece of chicken, always check the thickest part. Make sure it's away from bone, because if you touch bone is going to be hotter. And also make sure it's away from fat, because if you touch fat, fat will be hotter as well. So always check the thickest part. If the thickest part is to the proper internal temperature, then the whole thing should be to the proper internal temperature. Okie dokie. Okay, there are 4 temperatures that you need to know for this class. I would say this is what my students always struggle with the most. So we'll have 145, 155, and 165. And it'll always be these 3 temperatures, at least on my test. I'm not sure how the state test went. I'm not sure if you guys got it right or if you got it wrong. We'll see. And we always these 3 temperatures and 3 categories, or 4 categories. I'll go over them. So seafood, beef, veal, and lamb, and I always remember that this is the lowest temperature that they offer me because people eat seafood raw, right? So that's low. Like their steak, I love my steak rare, probably 145 degrees. If you like your steak well done, like cooked all the way through, that's probably like 160 degrees. But people do like the steak rare. So I always remember this category is 145 because of those 2 things. You can have rare steak. Hopefully not too rare. Okay. The next one, 155. Anytime you're cooking something like a meat that's ground, like ground beef, ground turkey, ground pork, it should always be 155 degrees. And I remember this because if you take 5 and 5, you can make it like a ground to, I don't know, walk on. Someone can walk on it. That's how I remember that. And this most times just means that there's no pink in your meat. Okay? And then the almost last one, poultry is anything bird, so like turkey, duck, chicken, should always be cooked to the highest temperature, 165, because you should not have like medium rare chicken. Everything should be cooked all the way through, no pink. Okay. And then there's one other category, but it's the same temperature. Anytime you're reheating food, it should also be 165.
Someone stuck it in the TV.
Okay, we were talking about this in my last class. If you could cook chicken in the microwave, you can't cook a lot of things in the microwave. You can cook chicken in the microwave. You could probably cook a steak in the microwave, but it's just like, it's not good. It's like
Dry.
soggy and dry and like gray and gross. We can do it.
Let's do it.
If you want it to be well done, you can cook it in the microwave so that it's
Yeah.
cooked all the way through, and
That's
then
true.
you can give it a nice.
How about we have everyone
Like, yeah, I
cook
could
a
do
steak, and then people can choose whether they want to do it in the microwave. Try it in the oven.
Right. Oh, yeah, you can cook it in everything. My mother-in-law always cooks her steaks super rare, like very pink. And then my sister-in-law like hates that. She has it like cooked brown, almost black. So that's what she'll do. She'll just pop her steak in the microwave and get it cooked more through.
My mom wants it all the way through.
Ooh,
My dad's
dry.
been
Medium
sous
rare.
videing them.
Oh yeah. Okay. We kind of went over this, but food storage staying in proper temperatures. All refrigerators need to be at least below 41. I would err on the side of like 37 or 38. Okay. Okay, freezers should be at 0 or below to keep it like rock hard. I believe freezing temperature starts at like 31 or 30. 32.